Hello, Mrs. Polano's class. We're going to be doing some podcasting. So she's pushed out to you an assignment in your podcasting topic inside of your Google Classroom. Okay. And it's going to be this one that says build your podcast. Turn it in on this assignment. So when I click on this Google Doc that says podcasting checklist, I have a 4-step process. Okay. 4 steps to build your podcast. The very first one is that you need to record your audio for your podcast. So in this case, you're going to take your script from your Falling Towers book talk, and we're going to just read it. So I'm going to click on the link to Vocaroo. And Vocaroo is a really simple website. It's got one button, and that's it. So once you guys are on Vocaroo.com, you're going to press the big red record button, and you're going to start recording and reading off of your script. So I'm going to do an example here. In the book Falling Towers, we were met with a protagonist, and her name is Deja. Deja is going to be the primary character for this book. Hello, my name is Jason Polano, and welcome to the School Rocks podcast. Let's get right into it. Once I've recorded all of my podcast audio, which could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes long, I'm going to press the big stop button. When I press the stop button, it's going to give me an option to save and share. When I click on that, I'm actually going to download this file onto my Chromebook. When I download it on a Chromebook, it goes directly into my Google Drive. So when I click download, I get this option over here that says my download is complete. And if I were to go into my Google Drive, you guys would be able to see that audio file is going to be living there. So if you see here on the recent tab, so here you'll see that Vocaroo file is saved inside of my Google Drive because I downloaded it when I was on a Chromebook. If you were on a laptop computer, you would have to upload that audio file into your Google Drive. So now we're going to go back to our checklist. And on our checklist, it says that step number 2 is to download our intro and outro music. So for our very first podcast, I just gave you guys a couple of options to pick from. If you click here, you'll go to a folder with a whole bunch of different song options for you guys. I want you to go through and listen to a few of them, and you can do that by double clicking on it. So I've double clicked, and now my audio starts to play. Let's say that I really like this audio and I want to use it for my podcast. I'm going to right click using 2 fingers on the touchpad, and I'm going to come down here to download. This is going to download a copy of this audio file, and it's going to store it inside of my Google Drive. For you guys, all of this music was downloaded from a royalty-free website, which means that it's copyright compliant and you have the ability to use it for your podcast. So when you click download, so I've right-clicked on the file and I've clicked download. That download will now appear inside of my Google Drive. So when I go into my recents, now I have my Vocaroo file of me talking, and I have my intro and my outro music. But that's That's nice. It's floating inside of my Google Drive right now. I want to create a new folder that I'm going to put everything in. Okay. So we're going to go into our Google Drive and we're going to select new once our drives have loaded. So inside of my Google Drive, I'm going to click on the new button and then make a new folder. I'm going to name this folder my podcast name. And I'm going to click create. All of the different audio files that we use, we're going to store inside of this folder. So I can go and I can find those audio files by going to my recents and then clicking on them, right-clicking, and I'm going to use this Move To button. So I'm going to right-click on the file, and I'm going to click on that Move To. And when I click on Move To, I can specifically pick my podcast folder to move the audio files to. So I've moved the intro music that I picked, and now I'm going to move my Vocaroo audio. Right-click, Move To, go into your drive, and then pick the podcast folder. Okay, so we've done all of the really hard work right now. What you guys get to do is now build that podcast. And it's complicated, but I know that you guys can do it. So back in your checklist that Mrs. Polano gave you in Google Classroom, when you click on the beautiful audio editor link, it's going to take you to this awesome, amazing, wonderful website that looks like a mix track. When you click on Authorize Beautiful to use your Google Drive, it's actually going to create a new file inside of your Google Drive. That way you can come back and you can keep working on it if you don't finish it in one class period. So when we click Authorize, it has now created a new project inside of our Google Drive. I'm going to rename this project. Podcast episode 1. I'm also going to add my new audio file. So I'll go File, Import Local Sound File. It's really important that you guys click Import Local Sound File. When you do that, you're going to go choose the file, and we're going to find that podcast folder that we just made. And I have both of these files that I can insert. So I'm going to do my intro music first because that will be the first thing that anybody hears. When I click on that intro music, I'm going to click on the Open button. And then I'm going to click Import Audio. So now my audio is popped up here. Well, now I want to insert my next one. So I'm going to say File, Import Local Sound File. And this time I'm going to add in my Vocaroo script. So I come in, I click Vocaroo and Open and Import Audio. But see, these are going to start at the same time, and I don't want them to start at the same time because then the intro music is going to be playing while I'm talking. The great thing about Beautiful Audio Editor is I can take this and I can drag it. So now as the music is playing and finishing, that's when I start to talk. And then finally, I can add my outro music. So I'll go File, Import Local Sound File, choose New File, use the MP3 audio that you downloaded, import it. And again, we want this to be at the end. So I'm going to click and drag until this is at the very end of my audio file. So that's what you've done it. I mean, that is podcasting. You have your intro music, you have your script, and then you have your outro music. We're going to want to save our project to Google Drive. When we click that save button, it's going to take a little bit of time to do it, but that's going to make sure that if I have to continue to work at another date, I'll be able to come back into this and keep working. But the last thing that you need to do is you need to download your full podcast as an MP3. So now that you've downloaded your podcast as an MP3, when you click on that, it's going to put it inside of your Google Drive. The last piece is we're going to turn it into Mrs. Polano. We go back to our Google Classroom assignment. We click on Build Your Podcast. We're going to add from our Google Drive. And under our recent documents, here's our podcast episode 1. And I'll insert it. And now Mrs. Polano can look through and listen to your podcast and tell you how wonderful and amazing they are. Make sure you click Turn In. And you are done.